Uh, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, I speak here. Thank God now we are on 140. This psalm is written by King David. Yeah. Now, I just want to again bring out some of the key points here for you to understand. All right. We understand that many of the psalms written by David, are about how he was persecuted, and about his running away from the pursuits of his enemies, like King Saul and his own son, Absalom. Okay. Now, I think in this chapter, there is a phrase to me that stands out. Yeah. Now, I want you to read verse 1. Deliver me, O Lord, from evil men. Preserve me from violent men. Right now, if you read verse 4, yeah, and the same idea is stated. Now, keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from violent men. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you read again, further down, yeah, we drop down to verse 11. Yeah. Right, verse 11. Okay. Now, verse 11. Let not a slanderer be established in the earth. Now, let evil hunt the violent man to overthrow him. Now, I guess, when you look at this, three accounts, yeah, there are some differences because I think the first two are similar because they are in plural, yeah. But when you come to verse 11, it seems to me that he is referring to a particular person. All right, that's why he said the violent man is singular. So he's pointing to a particular person, right? So again, we do not know much about the background of King David. Now we can only assume it's either King Saul or his son Absalom, right? Now I think most people would say, this one should refer to King Saul, because David would not call his own son a violent man. Okay, but this is only speculation. Yeah, we cannot be certain. Yeah, on that. Now, I guess when you look at the violent man here in verse 1, to me, the violent men here are the evil men. Right? Evil men. Okay. Now, when you look at verse 4, the violent men here to me are the wicked men, right? Because the hands of the wicked. Okay? The hands of the wicked. Now, when you look at verse 11, to me, this singular violent man is, I guess, the slanderer he mentioned in verse 11. Okay. The other one is, I want you to look at verse 9. Okay, verse 9. It says, as for the head of those who surround me, let the evil of their lips cover them. Now he said the head of those who surround me. So it's like there was a group of people, who tried to trap him or whatever, to encircle him. And there was a leader, who led, this group of people to go against him. That's the idea that I got, from my reading of this psalm. Okay. We first divide the chapter. I guess we can divide the chapter. They are based on Selah, all right? 1 to 3, and then 4 to 5, 6 to 8, right, and 9 all the way to 13. 13. Okay. Now we're going to go through the chapter here. Okay. Now it seems to me that in the first section, the violent men, are those who sharpen their tongues like a serpent. Right. So it is more like verbal attacks against David more than anything else. But obviously, if you look at verse 2, he said, who plan evil things in their hearts, they continually gather together for war. They sharpen their tongues like a serpent. The poisons of asps is under their lips. Right now, so I think judging from this section, one of the key ideas is their words. All right, which is similar to what we have read in verse 11. Okay, a slanderer, stated in verse 11. Okay, now, I guess David here not only faced with the danger to his physical life, and I guess he also has to face with the constant bombardments of, how can I say, wicked words, right? Or malicious words, if I can put it this way, from these enemies against him, right? Now, so we said, sometimes when we face with physical danger, we can just run away from it or trying to escape from it. But you see that when words of attack, malicious words, are spoken, let's say, against us, when we happen to hear, those words, you find that they can break our bones. You understand what I'm saying? They can really weaken, our resolute, our resolve can be, diminished, right? Now, so I guess, that's the reason why David prayed to the Lord to deliver him. Right? Now, I guess we do not just, when you talk to Christians from other groups, they'll tell you about deliverance. Now, each time when they talk about deliverance, they refer to casting out demons or someone who is sick. And he said, may this person be delivered from his illness. Okay. But I guess, judging from what we have read, we should follow the example of David and ask God to deliver us from what? From the attack of words from others, because they can break your heart. They can sadden you. They can dampen your zeal for God, or whatever you call it. All right. So I guess, to be delivered, means obviously we hope that we will not hear. Right. That's the first thing. Secondly, even if we have heard those words, we are able to stand firm. We are not affected. Okay? I think this kind of deliverance is important as well, to free our mind from the gripping effect of the words that we have heard. I'm not sure if you have this experience. Some words can stay in your heart, mind for a long time. It's like it has this lingering side effect, if I can put it this way. And time and again, you may experience this flashback, if you know what I'm saying. When you sit down quietly and suddenly this idea, the word that you have heard before, and it just pops up. Do you have that experience? And so you say, oh, what is going on here? Right? And it can cause you to become very moody, very frustrated, and sometimes, you can even become very infuriated. The more you think about it, yeah, the more, the angrier you will become. Right? So I guess the deliverance here is so important. Seriously. That's why we need to shut our mind, from all this. So shut out all this word. And I guess this requires the help from God. We can't do it by ourselves. So I guess, judging from what David has gone through, we understand that, he has been through so much, not just physical attack, like people wanted to kill him or whatever. Actually, you find that all these words, spoken by, his enemies can really destroy them. Destroy David. Yeah. So, when you read the book of Psalms, you begin to understand, why Satan attacked the church so fiercely with his words. Even when you read like Daniel, when you read Revelation, the small horn, for example, speaks pompous words, right? Now, I guess these are the words, not just words of pride. They are designed to destroy the faith of the listeners. Right? Now the example I given you before, in the case of Hezekiah, you see the Assyrian general, when he came, what happened? He spoke what? Words that can really destroy the faith of the people of Judah. But thankfully, the people of God have been taught, to keep silent, not to respond, to whatever was spoken against them. I think one way to be delivered is to keep quiet, right? And you know why? Because when you respond to it, you may get more attacked, more criticism, and it will become even more difficult for you to be delivered. Now, you find that if you keep silence, all right, and that is the way to be delivered as well. And the next thing that you need to do, obviously, if you feel that you're troubled by whatever words people have spoken, we always say we think about the words that they have spoken, examine ourselves, and the next thing that we need to do is to bring the matters to come before the Lord. And this is how you are delivered. And to me, I think this is so essential. It's not just about to be delivered from physical danger or to be delivered from illnesses or whatever. I think to be delivered from wicked words is so much more important, right? Okay, now this is the first section. If you look at the last word, verse 3, you can see how he described their words, like serpent, like poisons. We said their words are so venomous, or we said poisonous. They can, really kill. Unless you have the antidote, otherwise you'll be killed. But die. Okay, now I think this expression is so common. I'm not too sure about in the US. Sometimes we listen to news, and they will say, "Oh, the atmosphere is so toxic." It's because the environment is like, how can I say, is full of malicious words, being how can I say, spread around. When you hear words are floating around, and their poison is bad for the church or whatever. All right. So we need to be delivered from this. When you read this, I first ask myself, what is there to be delivered about? And you realize that because the words can be so poisonous, they destroy the mind and the faith of the person. Okay, now, to me, David is always a very admirable person, right? The way he reacted, I would say responded. I choose the word respond because, when you respond to a situation, it means that you have taken into consideration very seriously, of the situation that you are in, all right? And you apply the, how can I say, measured approach to deal with the thing, okay? Now, when you react, it's more like reactionary, you know what I'm saying? When someone hits you and you hit back straight away. But I think for him, he knew how to respond to a situation. It's very measured, if you know what I'm saying. I think that is so important. Yeah. Now, I guess you can see this very clearly in the next section. Yeah. Now, I want to go through with you. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from violent men who have proposed to make my steps stumble. The proud have hidden a snare for me and caught. They have spread a net by the wayside. They have set traps for me. Now, if that is the situation that we are in, I think most of us would have taken a reactionary approach, is it not so? Yeah. Now, for David, we said it's a measured approach. Yeah, it's a response that is very, how can I say, well planned in a way, because he prayed to God. That's the most important thing. I wonder how many of us, when we are being, spoken against, we first mention it to God. We pray to God. We lay down, what have been spoken against us, like David did. Now, not with an intention to destroy, but to let God know, God, what am I going to do now? This is the situation. Okay. Now, I guess, the more we serve the Lord, the more, how can I say, reliance we should become on God. Okay. I guess that is so important. That's why serving God would never cause us to become puffed up if we know how to rely on God, right? That's the point. Now, I guess there are quite many similar passages, in the book of Psalms that we can truly see that, when David, faced with this kind of a problem, he always mentioned it to God. Now, I just want to, again, just to remind you of one of the passages. Please turn to chapter 39. Okay. The book of Psalms, chapter 39. Now, I think 1 to 3, this section talks about how he tried not to speak against the wicked, muzzle himself, whatever, right? But the sorrow within was stirred up, right? And his heart was hot within him. Now, and he was musing, the fire burn. And then he said, then I spoke with my tongues. Now, again, thankfully, when you look at verse 4 to verse 6, he spoke to God first. That's the idea. Right? Now, I think we must learn, as full-time workers, there's no point arguing and quarreling with people. Just step aside from that. Even when someone is talking to you, it's aggressive in nature, the words are very aggressive, then you can pray in your heart, simple as that. Right? You just pray in your heart that God, please help while you're listening. There's, how can I say, to me, this is deliverance. This deliverance. You find that some people, they are, I guess we all know, okay? It doesn't matter who you are. You can be in the ministry for 50 years. If you are not delivered, you are still troubled by the words of others. Yeah. Okay. Now, if we follow the example here given, right, and by relying on God, we can be easily delivered by God, because we learn to count on God. We trust in God. As long as we have done, no wrong or whatever, we trust in God. We entrust the entire matter unto His hand. That's the way forward, right? It's the way to be strong. Okay, now we move on, yeah, to the next one, verse 6, yeah, to verse 8. Now, you look at the sincerity of David, okay? Here, I said to the Lord, you are my God. You hear the voice of my supplication, O Lord. All right, now, and O God, the Lord, the strength of my salvation, you have covered my head in the day of battle. Do not grant, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Do not further his wicked scheme, lest there be exalted. Now, here we can see the closeness of David, yeah, to God, how close he was, right? Now, so really, this, how can I say, brings out, the faithfulness of David. And also, here it tells us, that is the kind of relationship that we need to have with God, right? Now, so obviously, again, I said, we pray that God will guide both of you. But, God's guidance only comes when you know how to rely on God fully, right? I believe verse 8 is the thing that we can pray if we know that this is wicked, right? You pray to God, pray that this wicked scheme will not be further, right? Now, we like what we said, we do not involve in any form of imprecatory prayer, all right? Because first, we are not perfect ourselves, and we do not know, the will of God fully. Now, I guess what we need to do is we know that if this is harmful to the church, then we just pray that God please stop. All right. Okay. I guess this is how can I say the relationship of David with God is very strong. Okay, it's very strong. So in all circumstances, he knew how to count on God, and this is so wonderful. So wonderful. All right, now the next one, we look at 9 to 11 first. Yeah. Now, like what I said, there's a guy here, the head of those who surround him. All right, and now, so you see that, yeah, this group of people are more like what? More like slanderers, all right? And the head is the head of slandering. And when you see that, yeah, let the evil of their lips cover them. Is the mouth, isn't it? Verbal aggressions, if I can put it this way, all right? I'm wondering, yeah, when David was on the run, how did he know about people attack him with words? This is something that is quite astounding to me. Unless how can I put it? His subordinates, those who followed him, told him about what people said, and words of mouth spread very quickly. Okay. Other than that, I cannot understand how he could know so much about what people said about him. All right. Now, I look at it in this way. David must have been moved by God, to talk about matters at times, beyond his own situation, because it's prophetic. Now, you find that the strongest means that Satan could adopt to destroy the church is words. We said words of falsehood, words of attack, malicious words, lies or whatever. Okay, and you can see how destructive they can be. All right, how destructive they can be. Okay, now, and obviously here, he wished that this evil people would not rise again, because it's like they were destroying, the to me is like the things of God, yeah, things of God. Now, so it's like curses, David cast on these people. Right? Now let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits, that they rise not up again. Now, let not a slanderer be established in the earth. Let evil hunts the violent man to overthrow him. Now, so, to me, this group here, verse 9, must have gained a certain position, whatever position in the circle of David, in a way, or in the nation of Israel, right? And that's why it talks about overthrowing him. Okay, he must have caused a lot of what? A lot of confusion, chaos, or instability, and most importantly, must have caused many to fall away from God, right? That's why, and here it says that, and this guy should be overthrown, right? Overthrown. Okay, now, so again, we do not know which incident he was referring to. Okay, but judging from what we have read here, it's quite clear that this guy is quite a how can I say, quite well respected within his own circle, right? Okay, now we look at the last two verses. I know that the Lord will maintain the cause of the afflicted and justice for the poor. Surely the righteous shall give thanks to your name, the upright shall dwell in your presence. Now, you find that in his heart, he held on to this principle of God, right? And he knew about the consequence of the wicked and the reward that the righteous would receive. Now, I want you to understand, the righteous here means that someone who does what is right in the eyes of God, even in a very difficult circumstance. Now, in this case, you know that David can be a righteous person if he held on to God without sinning against God in difficult, I would say, moments in his life. And we do sin, when we face with, we said, attack from others. Right? Sometimes we can be very rash with our words. We may not be able to restrain our words, and we react very quickly to the words of others. All right. Now, so in this way we sin. If that's the case, then we are not righteous in the eyes of God. All right. Now, I want you to look at the last part. Now, last verse. Surely the righteous shall give thanks to your name. Now, I guess we have mentioned quite many times in some of the chapters. It said only those who stand in the courts of the Lord, those who are in the presence of God, that they are qualified to give thanks to God, to praise the Lord. But we are not righteous. We may continue giving thanks to God, but our thanksgiving may not be accepted. All right. All right. So here the last verse says, the upright shall dwell in your presence. I guess that is the, how can I say, that is the most encouraging statement, in the entire chapter, as far as David is concerned. Actually, we don't really mind, what we really concern, is that can we dwell in the presence of God? That's the most important thing. The rest is irrelevant, to be honest. If we do not have this, then what is praising God mean? What does it mean to us? Nothing. Okay, so this is the chapter. Right? Now we move on to the next one. Again, how can I say? This chapter is about praying to God, asking God to save him. Now, I just want you to look at a number of verses which is similar to what we have studied before. Now, I just want you to look at verse 3. Okay, now set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Now, this sounds familiar, yeah, like chapter 39, the one we have read, right? And so, how can I put it? Like, my feeling, okay, my understanding of David is that he demanded himself not to sin with his words. And he was so determined, utterly determined. I would say it's unbelievable. For someone who has gone through so much, yeah, and yet he tries so hard, to maintain, the integrity of his words, to make sure that nothing evil would come up from his mouth. It's exceptional. And we said is commendable. Right? Now, I guess, again, this is something that we need to learn. Right? We need to learn and learn it well. Right? So in this way, how can I say, we can truly, be safe, from this sin that we could have easily committed. Okay. Now, the other one is, he make a distinction in this chapter. He made a distinction between, the wicked who attacked him and the righteous who spoke against him. Now, I want you to look at verse 5, yeah? And this is the distinction that he has made. Let the righteous strike me, it shall be kindness. And let him rebuke me, it shall be as excellent oil. Let my head not refuse it, for still my prayer is against the deeds of the wicked. Now, so when you look at David, he didn't mind, how, a righteous person, would speak against him, as long as, it's from a righteous standard, a righteous heart, he won't mind. And again, I think this is important. Now, we must not always think that, any word that is against us is from a wicked person. This may not be so, right? Now, so sometimes God can make you use of a person to speak to us, or to remind us, even to reprimand us, or to a more severe extent, even rebuke us, right? Now, that may be done out of a good intention. Okay, so I guess, this is also what I learned. You must not take every word to be, how can I say, to be malicious, if you know what I'm saying, or every word that could be ill-intended. Okay, and that should not be in our mind. All right. Now, that's why I think we need to be very open. Yeah. And I guess that this requires a lot of humility on our part. A lot of humility is on our part. So when we are spoken against, and if we are humble, when we look at ourselves, when we use those words spoken against us to measure against our true character, then you will know. Then you will know whether those words are sincere or not. All right. And that's why this is, self-examination is a long process. And to be honest, it's not easy, because most people would not even want to think about themselves. Right? Most people would not want to know that they are actually not that good. Yeah. And I think in most cases, we want to think that we are good, we are above others. Right? And we think that, no one should have the right to judge us. But when you look at the attitudes of David, it's completely different. That's why I really admire this guy. All right. Well, they said, let the righteous strike him, If you look at the word strike, like, you can hit me or whatever, as long as it's for my own good. It shall be a kindness, because you're a righteous person. You would not have done anything, evil against me. Whatever you have spoken, obviously is for my own good. That is the heart of David. Right? That is the heart of David. Okay, so we can see a strikingly different attitudes, of David towards those who are righteous. Now, when you look at the last part of verse 5, it says, "For still my prayer against the deeds of the wicked." So, when you look at this, it means that, the discerning power of David is very strong. He could tell, all right, this deed here is wicked and this word here is good. Now, that's why we have to be right before God, to have this kind of a discernment or discernibility. Okay. All right. So basically, this is the what is that? This is the key feature in this chapter. All right. Now I'm going to divide the chapter. I would say 1 to 4, and then 5 to 7, 8 to 10. Okay, 8 to 10. Okay, we're going to go through it. Now here, David again cried out to God, asked God to listen to him. Now, verse 2, he said, "Let my prayer be set before you as incense, the lifting up of my hand as the evening sacrifice." Now, we understand that prayer as incense is understandable. We can see this also in where? In Revelation. Yeah? In Revelation. All right. So it's like, how can I say it? Our prayer will reach God. Yeah, will reach God. I just want to check. Yeah. What is that in the tabernacle? Okay, this is the idea, the incense that has to be burned, according to the law of Moses. All right, I want you to read the Exodus chapter 30. Now, verse 8, chapter 30, verse 8. It said, "And when Aaron lights the lamps at twilight, he shall burn incense on it, a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generation." Okay, so the incense is there, for what? For this in the what? This one is in the tabernacle. Okay, now it is a perpetual incense before the Lord. Okay, now I guess when you look at verse 9, "You shall not offer strange incense on it, or a burnt offering, or a grain offering, nor shall you pour a drink offering." Now, I asked myself, when I read this verse, what is a strange incense? Chapter 30, verse 9. Now, we can say a strange incense, when you look at how the incense is made, there is specification given, how it should be made, right? Now, like what kind of spices must be added to it, Now, so I guess when you have time and you can look at it, I can't remember where is it. There's mentioned, how this incense are made, all right? You can Google it later. You look at the composition, the content, Okay, now I will look at it in this way. A strange incense means what? You have not made according to what is specified. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay. All right. Now, so meaning the contents of our prayer is important, isn't it? Because if you say incense represent prayer, and we must not have some kind of strange incense, meaning the contents of our prayer is important. Yeah, what makes up of our prayer is so important. Okay, now, I guess I'm not sure where is it. Can someone just find the how do they make incense? There's a passage. It's in Exodus, I think so.
Okay, Exodus chapter 30.
Verse, or at the back.
Exodus 30, 34 to 38.
Yes, that's the one. Thank you. Now, 34 to 38, yeah? All right. Now, and the Lord said to Moses, take sweet spices. How do you pronounce that? Stet. And onycha and garbanum and pure frankincense with these sweet spices. There shall be equal amount of each. You shall make of this an incense, a compound according to the arts of the perfumer, right? And then, you know, the process is stated as well. Now, and also, yeah, I want you to look at verse, verse 37. Yeah? I think this one is also important. But as for the incense which you shall make, you shall not make any for yourself according to its composition. It shall be to you holy for the Lord. Okay. Now, whoever makes any of it to smell it, he shall be cut off from his people. Can you see how serious it is? Just if you simply make it, what happened? You'll be cut off. Okay. Now, I want you to pay attention to 37. Yeah. According to its composition, not for yourself, you know, not for yourself. Now, so meaning when you pray, you do not just pray to gratify yourself, or you want to what? Fulfill your own wish. No, like David on the part of David, he prayed that this guy will be destroyed. Yeah, you know, if he simply did it, what happened? He's not offering a incense based on the standard of God. If you know what I'm saying, okay. Now, so when you look at this very closely, let my prayer be set before you as an incense. What does that mean? It means that let hope that my prayer is acceptable before you. All right. Now, this kind of prayer in times of persecution has to be very pure. You have, you know, it's like you have to really filter out all your what? This bitterness or whatever. You just have to get rid of them before your prayer can reach God. All right. Now, you know, I guess, you know, whenever David knelt down to pray, I believe that, you know, he always asked God to you know, to search into his heart. This is what he had been doing all along. Now, when you look at this, then you understand why he did that. Because if the composition of the prayer is not accepted by God, then what happened? It's an abomination. Right? Will be cut off straight away. Right? Now, so I guess that this is so important for us to understand. The lifting up of my hand as the evening sacrifice, you know, like on a daily basis. Now, that's why when you look at verse 3, immediately he said what? Guard my mouth, keep watch over the door of my lips. I guess if we can be successful in this regard, yeah, then God will bless us. That's for sure. You know, when we do this, yeah, obviously we can never do it by ourselves. We need to recognize that. It has to come from God, the power of God. All right. Now, secondly, we understand that this must be done whether we like it or not. In order for our prayer to be accepted, our mouth must be what? Must be guarded against from speaking evil. That is so important. That is so important. Okay. Now, you know, when you look at verse 4, then I begin to understand why he prayed the way he did, you know. Do not incline my heart to any evil thing. Now, you say, what is the connection? What is he talking about? Suddenly he jumped to saying things which are like not related. But actually, if you think about it, when you are angry, when you are being pursued, do you not think that you can easily sin with your mouth because you're angry? You know, evil things can just pop up in your heart. Is that not true? Yeah. And so you find that how spiritual the person is. Yeah. Now, he said, do not incline my heart to any evil thing, to practice wicked works with men who work iniquity, and do not let me eat of their delicacy. What does that mean? Have no share in what they do. That's it. To them, doing evil is like eating delicacies. But David said, forget it. I'm not going to have anything to do with that. All right? So I guess that is the thing that we need to do. Yeah. Okay, now we look at verse 6. Yeah. All right. Now the judges are overthrown by the side of the cliff, and they hear my words, for they are sweet. Now, can you see the contrast now? Whatever David spoke is good. Now, that's why sometimes we have to ask ourselves, in the most difficult circumstances, can we speak good words, gracious words, words of encouragement? Okay, now, when I look at verse 6 and verse 7, yeah, okay, verse 7 to me, I believe that these are the words. This is a reference to the enemies. Our bones are scattered at the mouth of the grave, as when one plows and breaks up the earth. Why? Because after having heard the word of David, right? That's how I look at it. Okay. Now we need to understand, even if our words, are not able to change the hearts of the listeners at the time, but we can be assured. We can be assured that what happened? We can be assured that God will listen, God will accept our words, because it has been done out of a good heart. Okay, now we look at the next verse, yeah? Next section, 8 to 10. Now here you find that his focus is always on God. Do not leave his soul destitute. Meaning, allow his soul to be enriched. Yeah. I've been thinking about this, do not make my soul bare. Now, when you are in a desperate situation, okay, and you know that you need to count on God, and yet how can I say? Your situation has not become better, all right? Now, obviously, you feel very, how can I say, feel very desperate. In this case, he said, you may feel very destitute, all right? Now, here, the writer is asking God not to leave his soul destitute, meaning not to leave his soul bare. It's like your soul is like being deprived of all the goodness from God, all right? Now, so when you say a person's soul is destitute, what does it mean? The soul is lacking. Why is the soul lacking? Because it seems that the word of God is not there to encourage the soul, right? Now, this is the prayer, okay? Now, so he's so focused on himself and the state of his spirituality, right? In time of difficulties. Yeah? Now, keep me from the snare they have laid for me, and from the traps of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, while I escape safely. Now, this snare can be a physical trap, so like when he was running away. What I'm saying? They try to trap him physically to capture him and to kill him, obviously. Now, the trap here, judging from this chapter, is about words. Right? When people speak against you, you need to remember this is trap. The first thing that comes to your mind is what? This is a trap. You know why? Because you may react to it. Finish. Okay. So I have to be careful. That's the wisdom he has. That's the wisdom. That's why if we are aware of this, if we are very how can I say, inward searching, you begin to understand what Yes, some of the words are very harsh. Okay, but we take it what? Take it as what? As a kind of trap that has been set, you know. But like what I said, if the righteous speaks against us, then we have to listen. Okay, but how do we know? Sometimes we cannot distinguish. Or we say, oh, this guy, he is a what? He's a senior worker for so many years or whatever. It depends on how he behaves. Right? So, to me, this last few chapters is about the struggle, how to come out from what I said, you know, the attack of words from others. And to me, these are so precious. Okay, I want you to read, since we are talking about the incense, I want you to read also Revelation to have a better grasp of what that means. Okay, now I want you to read chapter 5 of Revelation. Okay. Now when he has taken, verse 8, now when he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each having a harp and now golden bowls full of what? Incense. What do they represent? They are the prayers of the saints. Okay. Now here is like it's like being treasured. You know, it put into a. You know, you can just put it into any bowl, any container or whatever. Okay, you can just put it here. You know, if you talk about incense, you can just put it here. But why golden? It means that treasured by God. That to me, it gives the idea that very, very, very valuable. Yeah, and God he looks highly upon this prayer of the believers. Now, so it's like accepted, okay, accepted by God, right? Accepted by God. Now, and then there's obviously they sang a new songs, since we are not talking about Revelation, that we just leave that out. Now, I also want you to read chapter 8, chapter 8. We look at verse 3, verse 3. Now, there another angel having a golden censer now came and stood at the altar. It was given much incense that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. Okay. Now, this prayer, what you find that actually all these prayers, I would say, reach God. All right. Now, you see that, this is not just the prayer, of those who were being persecuted, and it's a combination of past and present. If you know what I'm saying, those prayer or incense, were already in the golden altar. What happened? You find that they reached God, and then God responded according to their plea, their request, and then smoke and incense. Judgment of God came almost instantly. Now, that's why I think if we pray enough, okay, with a good heart for the good of the church, we accumulate this one prayer, before God. And when everyone prays, what happens? The power will be great. God will have to work. There's no other choice, right? And to save his people. But the problem, with the church today is that I don't think, many people would pray in this manner. That's okay. Okay, so this is 141, yeah? Okay, this is 141. Right, I just quickly go through 142 with you, just to give you a very brief introduction. Now, if you first look at the superscriptions given, And he said it's a prayer of David, yes, a contemplation of David, rather. Okay, now the superscription, they like the mini introduction. It said a prayer when he was in the cave. Can you recall which other psalm is also written with the background, stating that he was also in the cave? Remember? Do you remember? Okay, we can look at the content is not exactly the same, yeah, but I think the background is pretty similar. We can look at chapter 57. Yeah?
Yeah, I was thinking about 57.
Okay, 57, yeah. Now here it says, do not destroy a victim of David when he fled from Saul into the cave. So the background is almost identical. Yeah, this one is he was in the cave. This one is also, 57, he was fleeing from Saul into the cave. All right. Now, I would say that 57 comes first and then followed by 142. Okay, now just look at the situation for now. Yeah, I want you to look at verse 6, 142 verse 6. It said, attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. That's the situation. Very desperate. But for some reason, here it says his persecutors. Right? Now, I also want you to read the verse 7, yeah, and this is a point for consideration as well. It said, bring my soul out of prison. What exactly does it mean? Then I may praise your name. The righteous shall surround me, for you shall deal bountifully with me. Now, why does he say that his soul should be brought out of prison? Right now, so you know, here it gives us the idea that when a person is on the run, not only physically he was in danger of being captured. I think that the soul is also like in prison, right? Now, so sometimes we can be free, and we can be free, but our soul is not free, if you know what I'm saying. Our heart is not free, it's never free. We can go and enjoy, papaya milkshake or whatever, but our heart is not free. That kind of thing. All right. So this is a point for consideration when we study this chapter. All right. Okay, we take a break.